And we are stronger than those within our borders who would seek to divide us for their own political gain. They have tried before and failed. Mr. Speaker, they may try again, but they will fail again, because Canadians are rightly proud of what we have built and clear-eyed about what we must still do together. Mr. Speaker, one of the things we must do together is combat climate change. Climate change is not a debate. It is a fact, undeniable, unrelenting, and already shaping the lives of Canadians from coast to coast to coast. In my riding of Victoria, we don't have the luxury of denial. As a coastal island community, we are surrounded by the evidence.
Welcome, everyone.
I apologize greatly for interrupting the member's speech. It being 2 o'clock, the member will be able to continue his speech. He'll have about 3 minutes left after question period. Statement by members, déclaration de député. The honourable member for Mississauga Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For the first time, deeply honoured by the trust the people of Mississauga Centre have placed in me. I thank my family, friends, team, volunteers, and dear constituents. I also want to acknowledge the Honourable Omar Alghabra for serving our beautiful riding for over 19 years, whether as MP or community member. I pledge to serve Mississauga Centre with purpose and humility, knowing we must never lose sight of those among us who struggle. Si un Canadien est en besoin.
If one Canadian is in need, we're all in need.
Palestinian Canadian elected to this House since Pierre Desbanais, I understand the weight of the responsibility I hold and want to remind every member to put humanity above politics always and in any context. As Canadians, we know that solutions can only begin when we come together with the courage to name injustice for what it is, unacceptable, undeniable, and unequivocal. I take pride in elevating the voices of marginalized communities, the oppressed, and others whose stories deserve to be heard, as well as youth across the country. Thank you, Mississauga Centre, for that privilege. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Okanagan Lake West.
Mr. Speaker, as this is my first statement in our new Parliament, I'd like to take a moment to sincerely thank all the good people of Okanagan Lake West, South Kelowna for their support in this past election. While on the topic of the many good people from my riding, I would like to recognize many of my local mayors, members of City Council, regional directors, who are in Ottawa for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Convention. I know from my own time as a city councillor how challenging and demanding local government can be. This is especially true right now in British Columbia, where we face intertwined crises of crime, homelessness, and opioids that severely impact local government, whose citizens ultimately bear the burden of ill-conceived provincial and federal policies. I've greatly enjoyed my working relationships with the mayors, councillors, and regional directors from places like Summerland, Peachland, Greater West Side, West Kelowna, and Kelowna. I look forward to continuing our work together on behalf of our constituents, and I would ask that we would make all of them feel most welcome here in Ottawa. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Winnipeg West.
Mr. Speaker, it is a privilege to rise in the House today and highlight the remarkable contributions of Dr. Joss Reimer. Dr. Reimer is a force in Canadian medicine, a trailblazer, a change maker, and a proud Manitoban. Before stepping into her current role as president of the Canadian Medical Association, Dr. Reimer served as the medical lead and official spokesperson for Manitoba's provincial COVID-19 vaccine task force, where she played a pivotal role in guiding our province through the largest and most successful vaccine campaign in provincial history. Dr. Reimer also served as the medical director of public health for Winnipeg, where she focused on critical areas such as drug-related harms, infectious diseases, sexually transmitted infections, and health equity. Now that her term as president of the Canadian Medical Association comes to an end, we thank her for the lives she's changed. Dr. Reimer, Manitoba is proud of you.
The honourable member for Vernon Lake Country, Monashee.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize two outstanding athletes from my riding of Vernon Lake Country, Monashee, the Hladek brothers. Not only have Ben and Bradley Hladek made remarkable strides in Canadian football, they are brothers united by blood and bound by a shared commitment to excellence both on and off the field. Ben is an outstanding linebacker with the BC Lions. drafted in 2021 following an exceptional career at the University of British Columbia. His younger brother Bradley, a versatile fullback and long snapper, was recently drafted by the Edmonton Elks. From Vernon Minor football to the VSS Panthers, both brothers have embodied the values of hard work, integrity, and community pride. Their journey is a testament to their family, their coaches, and the vibrant football culture of the Okanagan. On Saturday, June 7th, they will face off for the first time in the CFL at BC Place. Congratulations to the Hladik brothers. Vernon is proud.
Well done.
The Honourable Member for Alfred Pelon. Mr. Speaker, congratulations on your election to this well-deserved new position. For my first statement in the House of this 45th Parliament, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to the citizens of Alfred Pelon who have placed their trust in me for a fourth term. Their loyalty and trust touch me deeply. They fill me with humility, pride, and a heightened sense of duty. Every day I am inspired by their commitment. It's for the families, the young people, the seniors, organizations, and businesses in Alfred Pelon that I continue my work with determination, heart, and respect. Both the young and the old have rolled up their sleeves and spared no effort to ensure that we maintain a strong, united Canada and one that reflects who we are. Alfred Pelon is a close-knit family, and I'm honored to represent them here in the House.
Langley Township, Fraser Heights.
What was meant as a celebration of culture and heritage turned into a moment of unspeakable sorrow. On April 26th, the Lapu Lapu Day Festival in Vancouver, a symbol of Filipino unity and pride, was shattered by an act of senseless violence. Many lives taken, many more injured, families torn apart, dreams cut short, and the community left grieving. But in the face of all this darkness, we see the Filipino community being strong and resilient, coming together, grieving together, sharing with each other. And today we stand in solidarity. The Filipino community, we see you, we mourn with you, we stand with you. We know that you will continue to celebrate the richness of your culture and your traditions and your history, as you should. Thank you for bringing the best of the Philippines to Canada and making them part of our Canadian cultural fabric. Together we are Canada true north, strong and free. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Pickering, Brooklyn.
Profound gratitude and humility that I rise today as the first Member of Parliament for the new riding Pickering, Brooklyn. A vibrant community that unites the entire city of Pickering, the northern part of Whitby, and the thriving heart of Brooklyn. To the people who place their trust in me, thank you. To the tireless volunteers who gave their time and heart, and to my family who stood beside me every step of the way, your support means everything. Ours is a riding with Canada's most populous region. We are nestled along the shores of Lake Ontario, and people from all over the world are choosing to call Pickering, Brooklyn home. With that growth comes unique challenges, from housing and infrastructure to protecting our environment and building inclusive communities. I proudly support the Liberal government's Build Canada Homes plan to ensure affordability and meet the unprecedented housing demand and opportunities of the next generation.
The Honourable Member for Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A throne speech allows the government to set out its direction, its objectives, and specify how it intends to achieve them. When it comes to official languages, Francophones have every reason to be proud but very concerned. And this is a short text that outlines the Liberals' intentions. The government is committed to protecting the institutions that promote these cultures and this identity around the world, such as CBC Radio Canada. This government is thinking magically and imagines that CBC Radio Canada is the savior that will halt the decline of French. Yes, saving Radio Canada was our campaign promise, but there is much more to be done to stop the decline of French. Unfortunately, the Prime Minister has shown us once again that he does not understand French and he does not recognize the importance of the different Francophone cultures that thrive in the 10 provinces and in our beautiful country of Canada. The Honourable Member for Rivière du Nord. Mr. Speaker, it was a brilliant idea to ask Joanne Regenbald to join the small bloc Québécois team on Parliament Hill. And so it was that the member from Montcalm, the former member for Repentigny, and I welcomed a woman of many talents who had unparalleled values and a strong sense of responsibility. Every party prides itself on having a rare gem on its team, but I'm sorry for the other parties, but this rare gem on the Hill is our Joanne. Of course, she left to go to the leader's office where her expertise was once again served the interests of all. But beyond her professionalism and efficiency, the first thing that comes to mind when we think of her is kindness. She took care of the entire team for 10 years, and we felt confident all the time. Thank you, Joanne, for everything you've done and given to the bloc, to each of us every day. Come back and see us soon, even though you're going to the Laurentians. Enjoy your retirement, my friend. Thank you, Madame Regenbald.
Murray Newton.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today with deep gratitude to the people of Surrey Newton for once again placing their trust in me. Being elected for a sixth term in a tremendous honor, and I remain fully committed to serving our community with dedication and integrity. I sincerely thank my family and friends for their constant support, my campaign team for their tireless efforts, and all volunteers and supporters who believed in me and our party's vision. I'm proud to stand with our Prime Minister and the Liberal government as we continue working to build a stronger, more resilient Canada. Together, we will keep moving Surrey Newton forward and ensure it remains a place of opportunity, growth, and hope for everyone.
The Honourable Member for Yellowhead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would first like to congratulate you for your recent promotion. I look forward to working with you as well as my colleagues in this coming Parliament. It is an honour today to rise for the first time on behalf of the constituents of the beautiful riding of Yellowhead, Alberta. I too would like to recognize some of my town and county councillors in Ottawa today. Considering this week's throne speech made no mention of Canadian oil and gas, no mention of Canadian pipelines, no mention of the necessity of getting Alberta's world-class energy to new markets, it's clear that this Liberal government is no different from the last. Canadians need a government that works for powerful paychecks, not a government that continues to support job-killing laws. When will this Liberal government repeal the No More Pipelines Bill, C-69, the red tape, and finally give Canadian energy workers the respect and recognition they deserve?
The Honourable Member for Brampton South.
It's with a deep gratitude that I rise today to thank you, the residents of Brampton South, for once again placing their trust in me. I'm also deeply grateful to my family, volunteers, and supporters for working day in and day out during the campaign. At the doors in Brampton South, the message was loud and clear. Canadians are feeling the strain. While affordability remains our top priority, public safety is also a leading issue in my community. Mr. Speaker, public safety builds confidence in our institutions, which is why we must continue to take this issue seriously at all levels of government. I remain committed to working with all partners to ensure safety and prosperity for all Canadians. As we begin this new Parliament, I promise to continue working hard for Brampton South alongside our Prime Minister to tackle affordability, keep our communities safe, and build the strongest economy in G7. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Kitchener South, Pespiller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today on behalf of and grateful to the constituents of my hometown in Kitchener South Hespeler. Let me tell you something about the folks in Kitchener South Hespeler. They are honest, hard-working people who do not like a tax cheat. They remember how, back in 2016, Donald Trump shockingly refused to release his tax returns to the public. Thousands of news stories were written about it.
Now, there is no law that leaders must disclose their tax returns, but the public expects that someone who seeks to lead a nation will go above and beyond the bare minimum legal requirements. Mr. Speaker, I'm sad to say we now face a similar situation in our country. This new Prime Minister refuses to give Canadians a public disclosure of his conflicts of interest. Even Justin Trudeau gave such a disclosure prior to becoming Liberal Party leader. Conservatives implore today the Prime Minister to look inside himself. Why is he taking another page out of Donald Trump's book? Why won't he disclose his conflicts? And does the answer have to do with offshore tax havens?
The honourable member for Clarefonds-Dollard.
Good man.
To recognize the achievements of persons with disabilities across our beautiful country.
More than 8 million Canadians currently live with a disability. Accessibility is essential to ensuring Canada's financial stability and future.
Government is focused on improving accessibility in key areas like infrastructure, employment, and financial security. Also, payments to the Canada Disability Benefit are beginning this July.
In 2019, our government introduced the Accessible Canada Act. And since then, we've made a lot of progress.
This year's theme for National Accessibility Week is Breaking Barriers Together, paving the way for an inclusive future.
Together, we can achieve our goal of a barrier-free Canada by 2040. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Cambridge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise for the first time to represent my Cambridge community. This week, the Liberal Prime Minister introduced his first spending bill. It's worse than Justin Trudeau's. He inherited a bloated Liberal government and promised to spend less. But this first spending bill, it spends 88% more than Trudeau did in his last year. It's a $500 billion spending spree with no budget. Single moms, seniors, and small businesses must budget before they spend. Why can't a supposedly brilliant banker, a man with a plan, do the same? And no, this isn't about investments. Consultants alone get a record-breaking $26.1 billion, costing every household in Canada $1,400. He promised to cap spending at 2% in his throne speech. The same afternoon, he introduced a bill boosting overall spending by 8%. Is this why the Prime Minister did not table a spring budget? To hide his broken promise to rein in his out-of-control spending?
Honourable member for Davenport.
Mr. Speaker, in my constituency of Davenport, we recently celebrated the 100th year anniversary of the Alexander G. Muir Building, currently the home to the Alexander Muir Gladstone Avenue Junior and Senior Public School, also fondly known as AMG. It is named after the Scottish-Canadian poet and educator Alexander Muir, who composed the lyrics to the Maple Leaf Forever, and who also served as the school's first principal. Educating generations of family members, AMG fosters a strong learning environment where all students are valued and respected. Evolving with the community and the times, AMG is a reflection of the dreams and aspirations of our nation, where education is the key to prosperity, and where no matter what your background or financial situation in Canada, you can achieve your potential. It was a true honor to join students, staff, and community members of AMG to celebrate this historic anniversary. Happy 100 years!
Oral questions, questions orales. The honourable member for Calgary, Midnapore.
Mr. Speaker, this Prime Minister said that he would be guided by a new fiscal discipline. He said that he would limit operational expenditures to no greater than an increase of 2%. Yet he's presented a bill of $500 billion to Canadians. Single mothers, seniors, small businesses all make a budget before they spend. You would think that a highly esteemed banker would know that and would do that. So is he really committed to a new fiscal discipline? Or is he just like the last guy?
L'honorable ministre des Finances et du Revenu national.
Mr. Speaker, it's a pleasure to be back in the House, and it's a pleasure to deliver for Canadians, Mr. Speaker. We are delivering on on our plans to make life more affordable in Canada, Mr. Speaker. The first measure we introduced was a tax cut for 22 million Canadians. There are Canadians in our riding that are going to benefit from the tax cut. We're eliminating GST on first-time home buyers for their new house, Mr. Speaker, and we are removing the consumer carbon price from law, Mr. Speaker. Together, we're going to build Canada strong, and I hope the Conservative will join us in that.
The honourable member for Calgary-Midnapore.
Well, Mr. Speaker, Liberals never learn and they never keep their promises. The Treasury Board President said in the last Parliament that she would find savings of $7.1 billion on high-paid consultants. Instead, this government is now spending another $6 billion on high-paid consultants. Wow. The Prime Minister said that he would limit increases in operational spending of no greater than 2%. Yet he's presented a $500 billion bill to Canadians. So who is the Prime Minister going to choose, Canadians or his friends? Right. Yeah.
L'honorable ministre des Finances et du Revenu National.
Mr. Speaker, it is very clear we have already chosen Canadians, and Canadians have chosen us, Mr. Speaker, to lead this nation, to build a more ambitious Canada, to build a strong Canada, to build the best economy in the G7. Together on this side of the House, we're going to build the Canada of the future, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Calgary-Midnapore.
Monsieur le Président, le Premier ministre.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister said that he would be guided by a new level of fiscal discipline. He promised to limit spending, and yet now he has brought in legislation that would include expenses of billions of dollars in additional spending despite its complete lack of budget. Even small businesses, the Prime Minister before him, the honor. Why would a in additional spending despite its complete lack of budget? Even small businesses make a budget before moving forward. Why would a banker not do the same thing? Will he finally show a certain level of fiscal discipline, or is he going to be just like the Prime Minister before him, the Honourable Minister of Finance and National Revenue? And then we need economy, a strong economy, the strongest one in the G7.
For Simcoe North.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is asking Parliament to approve almost $500 billion in spending, up 8% from last year. Nothing says spend less and invest more like spending more money on high-priced consultants and contractors. That's going up to $26 billion a year, over 35% increase. Wow. Is the kind of change this government trying to deliver to push civil servants out to bring their friends and high-priced consultants like McKinsey back in?
Oh, good question. Good question.
L'honorable ministre des Finances et du Revenu National.
I'd like to thank my colleague for his question. In fact, Mr. Speaker, we're focusing on result. And you know what? The first measure that we have introduced in this Parliament is to help 22 million Canadians, Mr. Speaker. People in every riding. Canadians are watching at home and are wondering, are the Conservatives going to support them? Are they going to support this government? Because Canadians know that we have their back and we're going to fight for them at every step of the way.
The honourable member for Nanaimo Ladysmith.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister said he wants to spend less and invest more, but this week his government tabled a $500 billion spending bill with no budget. While 15,000 people use Loaves and Fishes, the food bank in my riding, this government has increased spending on consultants by a jaw-dropping $6 billion, a massive increase of 36%. Consultants get a $26.1 billion gift that makes every household in Canada $1,400 poorer. Is the Prime Minister's reckless spending the real reason why there's no budget this spring?
The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation, Public Works and Procurement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank my colleague for her question. I'm very proud to be part of this new government that's fighting for Canadians day one with a proposed bill that's going to make life more affordable for 22 million Canadians. That's an average of $840 per family in income tax reduction. This is giving real help to Canadians, and I'm very proud that we're delivering on day one. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I apologize to the member for Long Range Mountains. It's her turn.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister claims he's different from his predecessor, but the numbers tell a different story. In his own first spending bill, consultants get a record-setting $26.1 billion, up more than 36% in 1 year.
Terrible.
The government talks about restraint, but this is $500 billion of spending without a budget. Single moms, seniors, and small businesses must budget before they spend. How come a brilliant banker cannot do the same?
Good question.
The Honourable Minister for Government Transformation, Public Works and Procurement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the question a lot of Canadians are asking is how come Conservatives can't get behind the idea of supporting 22 million Canadians with a tax break that's going to make life more affordable for Canadians by eliminating GST on new homes, which is going to help new home buyers. Mr. Speaker, our plan is ambitious to grow this economy, to make life more affordable for Canadians, and I'm hoping Conservatives will see the light and rally behind this ambitious plan for Canada. Thank you.
L'honorable député de Saint-Jean.
The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, we are seeing some dangerous intentions for Quebecers in the throne speech. The Liberals talked about a single Canadian economy instead of 13, which means that they want to control the Quebec economy from Ottawa, which is why the National Assembly of Quebec immediately and unanimously rejected this idea. Quebec is and should always be in control of its economic future, its trade, and relevant legislation. So on Monday, when the Prime Minister meets with his provincial counterparts, will he commit to respecting Quebec jurisdiction?
L'Honorable Ministre des Transports.
The Honourable Minister of Transport. I'd like to thank my colleague for this important question. I'd also like to thank the Quebec Minister that I spoke with yesterday and who participated in a provincial federal meeting about internal trade. We have a constructive relationship, a fruitful relationship. The federal government has an excellent relationship with the provinces and territories, and we will always respect provincial and territorial jurisdiction. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, Canada is not a business, and Quebec is not a regional branch. The reason we don't have just one economy in Canada is that we don't have just one nation within Canada. We should never sacrifice Quebecers' interests in the name of a supposed Canadian unity. Francophone workplaces in Quebec is not a barrier to labor mobility. And ensuring that Quebecers can work in our forestry sector is not an obstacle to trade. Ultimately, the existence of the Quebec nation is not a trade barrier. Does the Prime Minister understand this? The Honourable Minister of Transport and Internal Trade. Yes. As the Prime Minister said this morning, our government respects and will always respect the importance of Quebec, the importance of the Quebec nation, the importance of the French language. These are key priorities for our government. We also understand the importance of economic growth. And for our government, a priority is to create the strongest economy in the G7. That will be good for Canadians and Quebecers. The Honourable Member for Repentigny. Mr. Speaker, in the throne speech, the Liberals said once again that they want to have just one environmental assessment per project, which means that if an Alberta dirty oil pipeline is built and goes through Quebec, there would only be one assessment, which would be the federal assessment, ignoring Quebec and the provinces. But Quebec should be in control of its own territory. Quebecers and their institutions, like the Quebec Environmental Assessment Organization, they are the ones who should decide. Quebec's sovereignty on its own territory is non-negotiable. Will the government commit to respecting it?
Climate change.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to take this moment to say that I am so pleased that so many Quebec MPs are part of our government.
Nous avons 44.
In fact, there are 44, and they will be speaking up very clearly for the interests of Quebec and Quebecers. I will always work in favor of the interests of Quebec, and I will make sure that we hear their voice. The honourable member for Louis Saint-Laurent Akia-Wenrock. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, during the throne speech, in his speech, the king was very clear. And this is something that shows what he felt about our previous Liberal government. He said that this government will be guided by a new level of fiscal discipline. And yet, very quickly, we see that in this new legislation that there will actually be an increase of $40 billion in spending, 8% more. It's hard to believe that these people could do worse than Justin Trudeau. How can this Prime Minister stand up and tell Canadians that he's actually going to do worse than Justin Trudeau? The Honourable Minister of Finance and National Revenue. Mr. Speaker, my colleague for Louis Saint-Laurent knows that I respect him greatly. Yes, I'm sorry, I got the writing name wrong. But if he's talking about being able to stand up and look people in the eye, well, of course we can do that because there is a tax cut for 22 million Canadians. So the Prime Minister will be able to look people in the eye, and I hope my colleague will be able to do the same. He will be able to tell his constituents that he is voting for that tax cut and showing that he cares about Canadians. I would invite him to vote in favor. The honourable member for Louis Saint-Laurent Akia-Wenrock. Well, Mr. Speaker, the king was quite cutting when he said that we need a new approach to fiscal discipline. You'd think that this would be an opportunity to change how things are done. But on the contrary, this government is actually increasing the amount spent on consultants. I could never have thought that the Minister of Finance would actually do something that was worse than what Justin Trudeau did. Will he get up, look Canadians in the eye, and say that he will finally start being a responsible steward of the fiscal of the fiscal system, not like Justin Trudeau? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation, Public Services and Procurement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, you know which party Quebecers really were cutting towards. They cut the number of Conservative seats. After all, they didn't want a party whose plan was barely worth the paper it was printed on. Instead, they chose a plan to make the government more efficient, make the economy more resilient, and make life more affordable. And that's what we're doing with a tax cut for 22 million Canadians, $840 per family. I hope the member across the way will support that plan.
The honourable member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Your most important job is probably your first job because it starts you on the road to your career. But after 10 years of Liberal failures, that road is blocked for 1 in 7 Canadian young people. This is already an unemployment crisis with 100,000 more job losses coming. Now, rather than address this crisis, these Liberals continue to waste billions on consultants, a $6 billion increase. Why are they choosing a great job market for elite Liberal insiders and consultants and a terrible job market for Canadian young people?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, I share the member opposite's deep and profound concern to ensure that Canadian young people get opportunities across this country, especially in their first job. And that's why it's so exciting that Canada Summer Jobs will provide almost 70,000 jobs this summer. Great first-time jobs for young people all across the country. These are quality employers, quality jobs, and I look forward to hearing about them in my own riding.
Bravo.
The honourable member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, that minister has sat around the cabinet table for more than 10 years, and unemployment is steadily going up. It's actually at the highest point it's been in 10 years outside of the COVID period. We have an unemployment crisis, and Liberals are making things worse with another outrageous spending bill. This Prime Minister wants to spend even more than Justin Trudeau. So how can they ask Parliament for another $400 billion blank check with no budget, no plan for jobs, no plan to address the pain that their policies have caused?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Well, Mr. Mr. Speaker, we hear the member opposite talking out of both sides of his mouth. At one side, he's talking about the need to do something about unemployment, to do something about youth having excellent experiences in the workforce. And on the other side, he's talking about the need to reduce spending. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, we know that we can actually do big things together. That's what employers want across the country, Mr. Speaker. They want skilled workers all across this country in every sector. We'll be there with the provinces and territories to make sure we have the fastest growing economy in the G7.
The honourable member for Brandon Souris.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. This week, the Prime Minister introduced his first spending bill, and despite promising to cap spending during the election, the bill increases spending by another 8% on an already bloated federal government. $500 billion in spending introduced the same day as he promised again to cap it, all with no budget and on the backs of hardworking Canadians and at the expense of future generations. When will these Liberals finally cap spending and put the financial future of young Canadians first? Will the Prime Minister give us the date for a spring budget today?
The Honourable Minister of Finance and National Revenue.
I'd like to welcome the member to the House of Commons, but one thing, Mr. Speaker, it's clear, we have the back of young Canadians. If the member was listening carefully, he would have seen that in the very first motion we introduced in this House was the elimination of the GST for first-time home buyers, Mr. Speaker, for their first house. This is a measure to help young Canadians to get into the real estate market, Mr. Speaker. The young Canadians who are watching us at home understand we have their back and we will always work for them, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Northumberland, Clark.
Mr. Speaker, on April 5th, 17th, 20th, 21st, and 29th, the Prime Minister committed to, and I quote, free trade in Canada by Canada Day. However, almost immediately after the election, the Prime Minister already broke his promise, saying instead they would only introduce legislation to eliminate federal interprovincial trade barriers by Canada Day. Simple question, why did the Prime Minister mislead Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Transport and Internal Trade.
I am really delighted to get a question on internal trade from the Conservatives. We don't agree about a lot of things, but I think everyone in the Conservative Party and in the Liberal Party agrees that free trade in Canada will make us all richer. And that is why I have a question for my Conservative counterparts. Will the Conservatives vote for our free trade in Canada by Canada Day legislation? We're counting on you. Canadians are counting on you.
The honourable member for Mission, Matsqui, Abbotsford.
Mr. Speaker, small businesses are struggling with the complexity and obscurity of the customs notice. For a government program that was designed to help businesses, the CBSA is causing turmoil, time and money for many in manufacturing and its supply chains. On May 20th, the department quietly issued an updated notice on its interpretation of the scope, narrowing the order. Why, in this time of uncertainty, should businesses be left to navigate costly and consequential red tape from this government? Don't they understand that livelihoods and Canadian businesses are on the line?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague opposite for this question. He has brought this to my attention a couple of days ago, and we are looking into this situation, and I will look forward to responding to him in the next couple of days. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
L'honorable député de
The Honourable Member for Berthier-Masquinongé. Mr. Speaker, even under their new leader, the Liberals are spending way too much. The Prime Minister promised that he would limit the increase in spending to 2% a year, but instead we're hearing that actually he's going to raise spending by 8% this year, and that's before the tax cuts and nearly $2 billion in new spending that he wants to pass this session. It's very disturbing to bring in these measures without even giving us a clear picture of the public finances. Will this Prime Minister table a budget instead of governing exactly like Justin Trudeau did? The Honourable Minister of Finance and National Revenue. Mr. Speaker, I have a great deal of respect for my colleague, for Berthier-Masquinongé, as he knows. But it's surprising to hear that the Bloc Québécois is against a measure that will help people in his own riding. We just tabled a motion in this House to cut taxes for 22 million Canadians. That could be up to $840 for a two-income household. This will be great for people in Berthier-Maskinongé, and people in that riding are expecting their MP to be there for them and to vote in favor of this measure. The honourable member for Berthier-Maskinongé. Mr. Speaker, people in Saint-Maurice-Champlain are expecting this member to table a budget. It's a little bit like this Prime Minister looked at the Trudeau spending and said, just watch me. In fact, we can only expect him to show up in this house wearing Adidas sneakers. This Prime Minister is showing that he simply intends to be the fourth edition of the same old Liberal government. Once again, he's trying to make people believe that they can keep spending while reducing taxes and somehow without increasing the debt. Well, let them then show us how they plan to do that. Let them table a budget. The Honourable Minister. Well, this gives me an opportunity to thank the voters in Saint-Maurice-Champlain who have sent me here for a fourth consecutive mandate, and I will fulfill my mandate with humility and conviction. And indeed, we will be proposing a budget in the fall very soon. It will be an ambitious yet prudent budget, which will enable us to build the Canada of tomorrow. That's exactly what Canadians expect from us, that we build a strong economy, the strongest in the G7. A resilient, strong Canada.
Member for Cloverdale, Langley City.
Mr. Speaker, I recently talked with a young fellow who said, unless my parents die and leave me this house, I will never own one. Now, that's a reality for many young Canadians. So imagine their shock when they hear that the new housing minister says that home prices don't need to come down. Under this former mayor of Vancouver, house prices shot up 179%, rent up 50%, homelessness up 40%. If he didn't fix it then, and doesn't see a problem now, how much more expensive does he plan to let things get?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Mr. Speaker, my thanks to the member opposite for the question. We are spending many days this week with mayors and councillors from across the country here for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities meeting here. And I would caution the members opposite to be insulting our local government officials who we are partnering with to deliver results on the ground. We will deliver a cut to the GST for first-time home buyers.
That's right.
We're going to see a $50,000 savings for first-time home buyers delivered by this new government.
Yeah, very good.
The honourable member for Aurora, Oak Ridges, Richmond Hill.
Mr. Speaker, the housing market in the GTA is descending into complete chaos. New data shows GTA home sales are the worst since the market crash of the 1990s, falling 89% below the 10-year average, and condo sales fell 94% below the 10-year average. Home prices are too high for buyers and too low for sellers. Sellers can't sell, buyers can't buy, builders aren't building. The report warns that there will be a massive housing shortage in just 2 years. Can the Prime Minister tell us why he refuses to present a budget immediately to provide much-needed help for both buyers and sellers?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The critical piece that we need to invest in is more affordable housing across Canada right now. And we are doing that by delivering a GST cut for new home buyers. We are doing that by reducing the costs of housing through development cost charges. We're working in partnership with local governments to deliver that. We have to be sure we build more affordable housing for young people and those most vulnerable across our country.
Honourable member for York, Durham.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. New data out this week shows that home sales in the GTA are down 89% below their 10-year average. That's not a slowdown, Mr. Speaker. That is a market stall. What's the Prime Minister's response? A GST proposal that industry has dismissed, saying it will not improve affordability. So my question to the Prime Minister, what is his plan today, not in September, for buyers who can't buy, sellers who can't sell, and builders who can't build?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So we do have good news coming with the GST cut for first-time home buyers.
That's right.
We are seeing a stall in the market as people wait for that cut. We hope that the members opposite will support that cut.
That's
GST.
right, they should.
We're also going to focus on building more housing on the affordable end of the spectrum. That's what the young people of Canada need. That's what we need to deliver in this House for the people of Canada.
Yeah.
Member for Oshawa.
Mr. Speaker, the price of the average home in my hometown of Oshawa has gone up 121% since 2015. According to Equifax, a record number of Ontarians are missing mortgage payments now, up 71.5% since early 2024. A TMU professor said, the first thing you make sure you do in life is pay your mortgage. But people aren't doing that because the whole system is so broken now. This Liberal housing minister, former mayor of Vancouver, comes to us with an already broken record of sky-high prices and surging homelessness. So why should Canadians trust him to do the job?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, I will caution the members opposite to be insulting local government officials who are here in Ottawa this week to partner with the federal government. The only way that we get housing built in this country is with alignment with the provinces and territories, the local and Indigenous governments. We need to work in partnership and collaboration to deliver housing for Canadians that they can afford.
Honourable Member for Richmond Hill South.
Mr. Speaker, according to new data, Ontario's homeowners are missing mortgage payments in record numbers. 90-day mortgage delinquency rate jumped 71% since last year. Canadians are facing 40-year inflation highs, lackluster housing supply, and skyrocketing mortgage rates. And what does the housing minister have to say? That prices don't need to come down. As Vancouver's mayor, he oversaw rent going up 50%, home prices up 179%, and homelessness up 40%. Can the Minister of Housing tell Canadians how many more families must fall behind before his government takes action and finally tables a budget?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the member opposite, we have real challenges with housing across this country, and we have to address the affordability. We also have to tackle the trade war that we face with the United States. The tariffs are having an impact on Canadians. They're impacting affordability, they are impacting our markets, and that's why I applaud the actions of our Prime Minister and our ministers in addressing the challenges we face with the U.S., growing the Canadian economy, and ending this trade war.
Member for Brampton Centre.
After years of delays, uncertainty, and economic damage, it's undeniable that Bill C-69, the No More Pipelines bill, has been an absolute failure for Canadians. Industry leaders, provinces, and Indigenous communities have repeatedly sounded the alarm over its complex, unpredictable regulatory process that chases away investment and blocks development. Now that the Supreme Court has confirmed that key parts of this legislation are unconstitutional, will the Liberal government finally admit it got this wrong and scrap Bill C-69 and take real action to get Canadians back to work?
Minister of Energy and Natural Resources. So who got up?
Mr. Speaker, in trade wars, we must capitalize on every competitive advantage we have. This means working with provinces, territories, Indigenous peoples, and proponents to make Canada an energy superpower. We will fast-track projects, cut red tape, and approve projects in the national interest within 2 years. These activities will build the strongest low-cost, low-risk, low-carbon economy in the G7.
Member for Brampton Centre. Brampton Centre. Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, it's an honour to rise in this House for the first time representing the people of Brampton Centre. Friends, campaign team, and constituents for all of their love and support. Our constituents from across Canada sent us to Ottawa to deliver them real results. Can the President of the Treasury Board share with this House what we are doing to bring down the cost for Canadians?
To the Treasury Board.
Mr. Speaker, I'm honoured to work with the newly elected member for Brampton Centre to deliver results for our community and for all Canadians. Canadians elected a new government to take bold actions, and that's what we're doing with our first act. A tax cut for 22 million Canadians, new sports for first-time home buyers, and by removing the consumer carbon price. This new government is taking decisive actions to make life more affordable for Canadians and to build Canada strong.
Honourable Member for Calgary-Crowfoot.
Mr. Speaker,
when this government was first elected in 2015, they killed 16 major resource projects and chased $176 billion out of the Canadian economy. This resulted in lost jobs, thousands of lost jobs in my city alone, and Bill C-69 continues to make it impossible to build the pipelines needed to unleash our resources and to restore our economic independence. Will the Prime Minister commit today to cancelling Justin Trudeau's No More Pipelines law, Bill C-69? Yes or no?
Minister of Energy and Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, I have been clear. We will support new pipelines if there is a national consensus in favor of them. We will honor with our country facing American tariffs, we must strengthen our energy and natural resources sector. There is no question energy is Canada's power. We will help build the strongest economy in the G7, create jobs for Canadians, and give the best cards to our negotiators at the negotiating table. Canada's new government will win this trade war.
The honourable member for Miramichi Grand Lake.
Mr. Speaker, Conservatives and Canadians know that if you pay more taxes to the government, the weather will not get better. Conservatives have been standing up for Canadians and against the carbon tax for more than a decade. This Prime Minister made a big splash in March when he told Canadians that he would axe the carbon tax. After the Conservatives pleaded for years, finally his government removed the consumer carbon tax. Now will the Prime Minister also repeal the industrial carbon tax so Canadian companies and industries can compete in the global economy? Yes or no, Mr. Prime Minister?
The Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
That was an interesting question, and I'm going to actually disagree with all the premises of it. But if we actually care about industries, then we're going to look at what's actually costing them right now. And that's the tariffs that are coming from the United States. It's impacting their ability to do what they need to do. We are here standing up for Canada. We're here standing up for a strong economy. We know that that's what we need to do. That's what Canadians have to do, and that's what we're going to keep doing.
The Honourable Member for Bow River.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister says that half of Canada's oil needs to stay in the ground. And now he's backing that up with a production cap that the Parliamentary Budget Officer says will kill 54,000 jobs and gut $20 billion from our economy. This keep it in the ground agenda doesn't just kill paychecks, it makes us more dependent on foreign oil. It weakens our economy, punishes Alberta families and Saskatchewan families who build this country's energy sector. So I'll ask the Prime Minister a simple yes-no question. Will he scrap his job-killing production cap and finally let Canadians restore energy independence?
The Honourable Minister of Energy and Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, my goal is to get things built where there are proponents. Canada's new government will fast-track projects, cut red tape, and approve projects in the national interest within 2 years. We will make Canada strong and protect ourselves from American tariffs if we work together with Indigenous partners and our workers, but across party lines. I encourage my Conservative colleagues to join us in creating new jobs, building the strongest economy in the G7, and making Canada an energy superpower.
Honourable Member for Swift Current Grasslands Kindersley.
After 10 years of Liberal anti-energy policies, the devastation continues. There's already been hundreds of thousands of job losses in the industry, and thanks to the radical ministers on the front bench, their oil and gas production cap has another 54,000 jobs and over $20 billion on the chopping block. The Prime Minister campaigned on having a plan to get things built, yet he's already committed to not overturning the production cap. Is the Prime Minister's refusal to scrap the cap an admission that he supports this devastating policy?
Good question. The Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, after seeing under the Conservative government nothing getting built, I think that we have some lessons to learn. What we learned is that you can't actually get results if you decide we're not going to do any environmental assessments, we're not going to be consulting with Indigenous peoples. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we build an effective, efficient assessment system that gets projects built. That's what we committed to do, and that is what we will do.
Bravo, bravo. The Honourable Member for St. Albert, Sturgeon River.
Mr. Speaker, when the Prime Minister was chair of Brookfield, Brookfield registered $30 billion of investment funds in offshore tax havens in Bermuda and the Cayman Islands, all to avoid paying taxes in Canada. And now the Prime Minister refuses to come clean and disclose his assets to Canadians. Canadians deserve to know, does the Prime Minister have any financial holdings hidden away in offshore tax havens, yes or no?
Great job, Cooper.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians should feel very reassured that we have among the most stringent ethics requirements for public office holders in the world. The Prime Minister has not only complied with all of those requirements, but has proactively and preemptively filed all of the information that the Ethics Commissioner requires. Obviously, complying with the rules is something we will always do on this side of the House.
That's right.
Canadians can bank on that.
Hear, hear. Honourable Member for St. Albert, Sturgeon River.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has been anything but transparent, hiding behind a loophole in Canada's ethics laws to hide his assets from Canadians. And it really begs the question, why? Is it because Mr. Elbows Up himself is dodging paying taxes? Is that why?
Good question. Good question.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know that evoking conspiracy theories is going
This will be a point of order, but he's just saying they're conspiracy theories.
to
They're
repeat
not.
one more time that Canadians should feel very reassured by the fact that we have among the most stringent ethics guidelines in the world, and the Prime Minister has not only met those requirements but exceeded them.
L'honorable député de Bellechasse.
The Honourable Member for Bellechasse, Les Etchemins, Lévis. Mr. Speaker, recently, in Lévis, nearly 10,000 people sought food assistance, which is twice as many as in 2021. Now, there are full-time workers who can no longer put food on the table. Meanwhile, the Liberal government promises to cut spending in the morning. Then, in the afternoon, it goes ahead and increases spending by 8%. There may be a new face in the Prime Minister's office, but the same bad habits remain. Does the Prime Minister realize that his out-of-control spending is fueling inflation and forcing even more Canadians to line up at food banks, Mr. Speaker? The Honourable Minister of Finance and National Revenue. Mr. Speaker, I thank my colleague for her question. We are all concerned about this situation in the country. That's why, Mr. Speaker, the first measure our government presented was one for affordability, so that about 20 million Canadians across the country could pay less in taxes, Mr. Speaker. The best way for Canadians to be able to keep their income, Mr. Speaker, the best way is for them to pay less in taxes. That is just one way we're helping Canadians, and we will continue to help Canadians.
Bellechasse.
The Honourable Member for Bellechasse, Les Etchemins, Lévis. Mr. Speaker, who's profiting? Not Canadians, but external firms, consultants. There are 10,000 people in my riding lining up at food banks. Can we at least have the decency to table a budget this spring, Mr. Speaker?
L'honorable ministre de l'Industrie.
The Honourable Minister of Industry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As you know, currently our goal is to help those who are struggling to make ends meet. That's why we cut taxes. That's why we cut taxes for the middle class. We are also cutting the GST for those who are buying their first property. And as my colleague knows full well, we are currently in the middle of a tariff war. We are fighting to create jobs, to protect jobs that are currently under threat. And we are also here to invest to build the strongest economy in the G7. The Honourable Member for Beauport-Limoilou. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I congratulate you on the speakership. This is my first time rising in the House as member for Beauport-Limoilou. I thank my constituents for placing their trust in me. Voters called for change which will allow them to keep more money in their pockets. Can the minister explain what this government will do to make life more affordable for Quebecers and for all Canadians?
L'honorable ministre de la Transformation.
The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation and Procurement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the people of Louis Hébert. Thank them for voting for me. I also thank the people of Beauport-Limoilou for giving us a third Liberal voice in the Quebec area. This will make us this will make us even better at defending their interests. We've already taken action with a tax cut of for 22 million Canadians, savings up to $840 for a family of 4. We are delivering. We're taking action to have a stronger economy and country.
Nicola. Mr. Speaker, this government is not serious when it comes to public safety. We recently learned that terrorist-related charges were up 488%. Wow. If you thought that this statistics and the problem that goes with it would be reported in the speech from the throne, you'd be wrong. Why is this government so unserious about a matter that impacts all Canadians?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Minister of